I get started. I'm sitting on my chairs, guys. Excuse me. I hope all is well with everybody. Today we're going to be talking about lasting balance and how the habits that you have are not sustainable and they haven't been sustainable. So that's the reason why they haven't been shifting your reality, your current realm of what you're going through when it comes to not only your health, but also your energy, spiritually, mentally, physically. All of the energies are off. And the reason why is because this space around what we consume and what we consider as food is not from a space of healing, using food as medicine, having balance, reclaiming your energy, having energy every day. But instead, our mindset around food is consume, make it to the next day. As long as I'm feeling my stomach when it's growling, that this is what I need to do. And this is not allowing you to understand how your body is actually supposed to operate, how it's supposed to feel, what your design looks like. As women, we sit here and we're overworked, we're stressed, we're dealing with PMS, we deal with bloating, we deal with fatigue, we're dealing with outside stressors, work, etc., children if you have them. And a lot of y'all aren't realizing that you're waking up tired, stressed, and overwhelmed. A lot of it is coming from the fact that you have no habits that help you balance, that help you stay in a healthy space, that help you be able to rejuvenate and be feeling good throughout the night, or feeling good when you wake up after your body has reset throughout the night, because you don't give it time to reset. Too many women are waking up tired, stressed out, and overwhelmed because they believe this is how life is supposed to be, that this is a part of being a woman. You deal with PMS, you deal with the weight fluctuation. You have to just deal with outside factors that are going to impact you feeling overwhelmed. But you're not realizing that a lot of y'all are believing that this is how your body is supposed to operate, and it's because you don't know how your body naturally feels when it's actually given what it needs, with nutrients, with flushing, with resetting, with actually being aligned with your energies when it comes to your physical, your mental, and emotional. And so you have to break the cycle altogether, but you first have to understand what these symptoms are showing you and how they're trying to get you to understand where these pain points are coming from. You dealing with the fatigue, the stress, the mood swings. That is a sign from your body to let you know that something is off and you're not in alignment. Depending on coffee or sugar to push through your day and for energy. That's your body's way of telling you that you're not resting throughout the night. You might be asleep, but your body is not able to rest, so it cannot regain any energy. Feeling overwhelmed from diet culture, information overload, because you're looking up all these gurus and detoxes and diets and supplements that you could possibly take, and not only in these times where funds are running low for people, or they're having to budget out more than what they normally would when it comes to grocery shopping. You don't have all this money to be spending on a maybe the supplement will work, maybe this diet will work, maybe this detox will help me, maybe these juices will help me. You're giving your body mixed messages by believing in diet culture, and that is overwhelming. Because not only is it overwhelming for your mental, so your subconscious and your conscious, but it's also overwhelming for your physical and your emotional, because emotionally, you're going to be going through these ups and downs, because 1 minute you're going to be calorie counting and restricting, so you're going to be hungry, and you're not going to be giving your body what it needs. And then the next minute you're going to flip back and you're going to be eating all the things that stimulate your dopamine. So that makes you feel good. So when next time you go back to a diet, now your dopamine is not being stimulated by toxic sugars. So now you feel depressed and sad and hangry. Physically, you're going to be sitting here not being able to trust yourself, because when you go back and forth between habits and causing that weight fluctuation of 1 minute I'm going to calorie count and restrict, next minute I'm going to eat whatever I want to eat, your body cannot hold on to a healthy weight. So what it's going to do is you're going to lose that water weight, and then you're going to go back to eating those old foods and those old habits, and then your body is going to hold on to that. So now you have bloating. Now your cycle is painful this month when it wasn't when you were on the detox. It's because you're going back and forth. And this causes your body to be in panic mode, fight or flight. That is overwhelming for the body. Believing that your body is failing you and that there's something wrong with you is the problem in society, because you believe that it runs in your family and this is just a part of your genes. But in reality, it's overloaded because you're out of balance, and it's crying out for help through these symptoms. But you're not seeing them as something you can help. You're seeing it as something that you have to manage and you have to deal with. Helping it is allowing it to release so that you can heal. getting rid of the blocks. And the blocks are coming from you believing that you're lazy, that you're broken, and that you're overwhelmed and there's nothing you can do about it. These stressors are just it. When the liver, the kidney, the pancreas, and your gut are overwhelmed or are overloaded with the wrong foods, with stress, with toxic habits, your hormones are going to be off. Your energy is going to be crashing. And your body is going to start showing all of these symptoms that you're currently dealing with right now. And it's because you are not supporting the factors of when your liver, your kidney, your pancreas, and your gut are supported. That means throughout the night, they are able to reset and to rest in their own way. Not like when you're sleeping and you wake up and you have a dream throughout the night. Maybe you don't, but you're resting, so you wake up with energy. And that's because your organs are not working to keep you alive throughout the night, but instead they're able to reset. So when you wake up, now the liver has detoxified. So that means you wake up and you're able to go to the bathroom, because you should be waking up and going to the bathroom, because around the middle of the night when you're sleeping and you're resting, your liver is going to start releasing toxins, and these toxins aren't being released in a negative way but in a positive way, because I've talked about this before. There's duality to everything that we think that is negative, inflammation, toxin buildup and releasing, etc. There is a light side to it. Your body is going to release. Well, hi, welcome in, Lisa. Your body is supposed to release throughout the night, so that when you wake up, it is already gone through your digestive tract. It's already set and it's ready to go. This is the reason why people are so heavy on not eating before you go to bed, because it's deeper than just making you feel sick, making you feel nauseous, and making you feel bloated when you wake up. But it's because when you eat, you're overloading your digestive tract before you go to sleep. So then now your gut is having to work during your sleep when it's supposed to be resetting and flushing. Now your liver is sitting here having to filter out toxins that weren't filtered throughout the day, but now is being filtered with the fact that it's trying to release what it needs to throughout the night and filter the toxins from your food. Because a lot of y'all don't even read your label, so you don't know what these ingredients are. And then if you're eating meat, they have additives and fillers and etc. Same thing with dairy. There is no additive or filler free food that you're consuming, because there's no way that it can sit in a plastic packaging on a shelf without changing colors, without some type of additive or filler. And so you go through this process of making your body work itself overnight. Your pancreas is overloaded, because if you eat sugar before you go to bed and you're not using any stabilizers throughout your day before you go to bed, your blood sugar is going to be spiked. So this is going to cause you to not be able to rest throughout the night. So you're waking up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And you're thinking, for a lot of people who are spiritual and they understand the witching hour, you're thinking the witching hour is attacking you. So you're over here praying. You're thinking that you're having a spiritual awakening. And a lot of y'all are just insulin resistant. And you're having a blood sugar spike throughout the night and your body can't rest. You're going back and forth to the bathroom. You're sitting here in and out of the bathroom, going pee throughout the night. And you're like, man, I've been up 2 or 3 times tonight. I don't know why I'm peeing so much. Maybe I drank a lot of water. Because that was my thought process. I do drink a lot of water. Not realizing that's a sign of insulin resistance. When you're going back and forth to the bathroom throughout the night, your blood sugar is spiked so heavily and you're resting. Your body's trying to keep you alive. Because you cannot be in a restful state and have your blood sugar spiked to no end and then going through crashes throughout the night as well. And so then you're going through this full process every single night. This is why you're fatigued when you wake up, because you are not supported. And then you're bloated and you're looking in the mirror and you're like, I wasn't bloated yesterday. Why am I so bloated? It's because your gut could not balance itself, because your pH was too low. It was not acidic enough. As well as the fact that you're also overloaded in your digestive tract, because your liver is going to do what it does, which is release if it can. And so it released everything in your digestive tract, but everything is stagnant. And it's stagnant because it's overwhelmed. So now you're going to the bathroom, but it ain't a full back going to the bathroom, so you don't feel right. So now you're bloated throughout the day. And then you're drinking coffee, which makes you go to the bathroom. So you feel like, oh, I'm getting a detox. I'm getting flushed. But you're not realizing it's still not getting rid of the fact that you're backed up. It's just pushing along all of the crap that you have going on. So it's like an assembly line. If an assembly line stops and it gets backed up because everybody is still going, just because you let a little bit go down the assembly line does not diminish everything else that's going on in the backed up area. You get what I'm saying? So the same way how you can let a little trickle out after the assembly line has been backed up and you can let it go for a minute. But if everybody else has been going for an hour and you've only been going for 5 minutes, it's not going to get rid of all the stuff that's been going for an hour. You just released a little bit. Think about that in the realm of doing this for months, for years, for decades. You've been trickling on about 10% when it comes to your digestive tract, but you've been eating on 100. You doing that 10% is never going to allow you to catch up to the 100. So you've been doing this for 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, however long. And then you wonder why you develop IBS. You're wondering why you have issues with your cycle, or you've been having issues with your cycle. You wonder why you have no energy and you feel lazy and you don't want to work out. And it's because your body is literally overloaded with toxins and your hormones are thrown off because of this. Your energy is crashing because of this. And your body has been showing you symptoms for years to let you know that your assembly line is off. Your body is breaking down from the inside out when you develop an illness or a chronic disease. When you have the symptoms, that's a sign to let you know the breakdown is happening. But people don't realize that the breakdown is happening until they get diagnosed. And then they get a prescription. And then you depend on that prescription for years. And you think this is the only way for you to live. This is the only way for you to be healthy. That this is the only way that people live life. Is depending on a prescription in their old age, thinking they have to have a surgery or some type of supplement. This is the only way that you can live. But there are people who literally get diagnosed with cancer, develop cancer, and they never do chemo or radiation. All they do is change their eating habits. They start eating fruits and vegetables, going to a raw plant-based diet, and understanding how important it is to eat more plant-based foods in their life. Because the system that we are under has trained us to be sick. They have trained us to not understand how our body is supposed to operate. And they have trained us to believe that you cannot depend on any other structure besides Western medicine in order for you to manage your symptoms and to get by. And so thank you for the likes, guys. I really appreciate it. The breakdown that's happening inside of your body is because your liver is overloaded with toxins. This is the space that's supposed to support your hormones. It's supposed to not be clogged up and backed up. But when it's not doing its job, you're going to have fatigue. You're going to be having brain fog. You're going to be having PMSing. You're going to have painful menstrual cycles. A lot of women are not realizing y'all's cramps isn't coming just because every woman in your family has cramps. A lot of y'all are backed up in the digestive system. And if you're not pooping enough before your cycle, that's the reason why you're sitting there on the toilet for a day or two talking about how your stomach hurts so bad and it's so painful and you're so uncomfortable during that time. Because all month you've been backed up. You've been on that 10% while you've been eating on 100. Because that's what a lot of people deal with. A lot of women specifically deal with. They talk about how painful it is and how much they're in the bathroom, And I'm like, well, you do realize that if you're not going enough before the time of your cycle, even a day or two before, when you claim that you're constipated, because I used to be one of those people who used to be constipated before my cycle. My doctor would tell me that's just a part of your menstrual cycle. But I didn't realize the reason why that's happening is because you have an overload of estrogen, not enough fiber in your life, and now you're sitting here backed up and your body is going through the process of trying to start your cycle. It's trying to start your period. And so then when you finally do start your period, cramps mimic the digestive tract contracting so that you go to the bathroom. So think about it. This is the reason why you're sitting in the bathroom for hours on end, complaining how you're in pain. Like, you really have to sit back and think about how you have not supported the gut throughout the month and now you're backed up. When your pH is not high enough in your gut, as well as the fact that your immune system in your gut, since your pH isn't high enough, is not being supported, y'all are getting sick all the time. You're dealing with painful menstrual cycles. You're having all of these issues. And it's stemming from the fact that a lot of y'all aren't just going to the bathroom. And when you don't go to the bathroom, you have to look at what you're eating. Like, think about it. It's not, oh, I just need a fiber supplement or I need to eat more fiber. Why are you not flushing enough as well as eating enough fiber from natural foods? Why do you need a supplement? Why do you need a fiber 1 bar? Because in reality, when you're looking at the fiber 1 bar, that is not real fiber. And the body cannot absorb fake fiber. All it does is hold on to it. So you're sitting here thinking you're eating a low-calorie, healthy snack when you get your fiber 1 bar, but a lot of y'all are causing more bloating than helping. You don't have to depend on any other outside source for nutrients unless you're not using food as your medicine. And when you are using food as your medicine, that's when we can start looking at, okay, how come I'm not getting enough iron? Am I cooking with iron? Am I eating iron-based products? Why am I not getting enough magnesium? Is it not being absorbed? Am I not consuming enough fruits and vegetables? Because that's the problem. People want supplements for a quick, fast solution. But it's not going to be a quick, fast solution that's sustainable. It can help you today, tomorrow, and a month from now. But when you stop taking that supplement, what happens? You don't have any more iron. Your iron is low again. But when you're eating plant-based iron foods, when you're eating foods with a lot of iron, with magnesium, with calcium, with potassium, whatever you need, when you're eating those foods, you don't have to supplement it in. When you're giving your body what it needs, there's no reason for you to be supplementing. So think about how many supplements people are on. What are you not getting in your food? But yet, somehow, we're following this system of the pyramids and the plates and what they tell us to do. We're following what they tell us to do. Eat your meat, eat your dairy, limit your processed snacks, but it's okay for you to eat it, right? Get a little bit of fruits and a little bit of vegetables because these are sides and you should be fine. But yet society's all doing the same thing and they're all still sick. Make it make sense. Y'all are telling me that y'all's iron is low, and I know a lot of women are dealing with it. A lot of women are dealing with it. And the reason why isn't just because, which it is a factor of the fact that we menstruate, we lose iron. But it's not the fact that we menstruate is the problem, because that's what they try to put on there. Well, you menstruate, that's the problem. Women are just going to lose iron. You just have to replenish it with a supplement. No. Why are you not consuming more iron-based foods? Why are they not telling you that you're supposed to get more iron before your cycle so that when you are on your cycle, you're not sitting here playing this catch-up game of, oh my God, I've already started my cycle. I have to get more iron because my iron's going to be low and I'm going to pass out. Because I know people who have literally passed out from low iron and the doctor's telling them to take a supplement. And in reality, they're not eating enough iron-based foods. A lot of women aren't eating enough, period. You're eating junk, but you're not eating enough nutrition. And so you're not absorbing nutrition. Thank you for the shares and the likes, guys. I really appreciate it. If iron is not moving throughout your body, that means you have a block. There's not flow. Like, we have to listen. I'm one of those people that make the connections. I am a connector. I like to make the connections between things and bring it to light. What you just said right there, the iron is stored in our tissues and it isn't moving throughout the body. So if the iron is stored inside of your tissue and it's not moving, what does that sound like? A block. That means you're not getting enough flow. The same way if you hear somebody say, oh, food is storing inside of my digestive tract and it's not moving out of the canal, what does that mean? There's a block. There's something not moving. So that means that you have a block inside the body that is not only physical, but that's also energetic. So what kind of energy are you consuming? Because when you're eating dead foods, that's a negative energy. When you're not consuming enough live, fresh food, which comes from fruits and vegetables, that means you're going to have a block. Because not only are you not getting hydration and oxygen on a cellular level, but you're also not flushing and flowing. If you're not drinking water, because I know a lot of people who say, well, I don't like water. Water doesn't taste like anything. I don't like to drink water. And then I come to them and I'm like, okay, why do you not like to drink water? Well, I like Pepsi and I like this, and I immediately know, boom, your gut is off. Your gut is off, your digestive tract is backed up, as well as the fact that your cells are so dehydrated that they're craving anything that you can give it. And that is the Pepsi. That's all you give it is Sprite. Because it's so dehydrated that now it's sitting there begging for something, and all it knows you're going to give it to flush is Pepsi. Because that's what you train. Subconsciously, we don't realize these things, because when you're sitting there talking about, well, I don't like fruits and vegetables, and I don't like this vegetable, and I do. I don't have many vegetables that I don't like, but I don't like pinto beans, for example. And I bet if I were to eat more pinto beans, that I would understand how pinto beans work and know how to season them and make them good. But I don't like pinto beans, as an example. But when I was first going plant-based, there wasn't a whole lot of things where I was like, oh, I won't try that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. But people see a vegetable, they see a leafy green, and they see something, they immediately categorize it as I don't like it. And the reason why is because it's just like children who know that they like broccoli, but they're not wanting to eat the broccoli today. So they tell everybody they don't like broccoli anymore. But then when you give them a broccoli smothered in cheese, they want to eat it. And that's because they have been subconsciously trained to love cheese. Same thing with how I used to love cheese as well. And I make this connection for a lot of people. The reason why y'all are so heavily in love with the cheese that you consume right now is not because the cheese is so delicious, it's so good, and that you love it and you're craving it. But it's because of the additives and fillers that they add inside of your cheese that make you addicted. The same thing with processed foods. So this is the reason why after you haven't had queso and sprinkled cheese after a while, you're sitting there talking about, oh, I really need some cheese. You're going in the refrigerator, you're getting some sprinkled cheese and you're sprinkling it in your mouth. You're putting it on pizza. Like you're just putting cheese on everything. It's because you're addicted. It's not because the cheese is so delicious. Because after I stopped and I was a cheese lover, I used to literally go in the fridge and just get a handful of cheese and eat it. Okay? I used to get shredded cheese and eat it. After I stopped eating cheese for about, I want to say a couple months, and I started making plant-based cheeses. Not the cheese that they have in the store that you go in and grab at conveniency, but the plant-based cheese that you can make from scratch. They also have them, you can buy them in the store, but they're a little more expensive right now. Everything's expensive, okay? I started to realize, yeah, I'm addicted to cheese. And it's more than just, oh, because cheese is so good, but I started to learn why. Because literally subconsciously, they do studies to make sure you are addicted to dairy. So that way you consume it more. Going all the way back, doing some more research, I realized why. They started backing dairy farmers to produce more dairy, to have more cows during the time of, I think it was the Second World War. I want to say maybe the first one. I can't remember. It was either the first or the second because I don't think it was all the way back in this. I don't think it was back in the Civil War. So I think it was in the First or the Second World War. They told them while the soldiers were overseas, they were fighting and all the different things, that they needed dairy, they needed powdered milk so that they can give that to them so they had sustenance while they were over there when they didn't have anything to eat. Well, the war ended. They had tons and tons of powdered milk, all this different kind of dairy products, and all these cows. The government was paying them. And now the government said, well, we don't have any funds to be paying you because the war is over. So they're looking at them, the dairy farmers are looking at them, the government's looking at them, and they said, well, you said incentivize, you're going to pay me, so you're going to figure out what to do so I can get my money. So guess what they started doing? Advertisements. Guess who they were marketing to? The everyday mother. You don't have to go out and milk your dairy cows anymore. Save time. Here's your powdered milk on the shelf. You don't have time to milk your cows today? Use this powdered milk. Put it in your food. Make your mac and cheese tonight for your kids. And to this day, well, not to this day, because I haven't seen many milk commercials besides like almond milk and stuff now. But if you were a 90s kid, if you were early 2000s, if you were above any of those times, you know that they used to have a bunch of dairy commercials, milk commercials, marketing for milk. You see in a movie, you see they have their little milk jug of whatever brand of milk, and then they have their glass with their orange juice and their milk, because there's always milk there. The marketing is heavy. You have to start questioning why they're promoting things to you. Why all of a sudden McDonald's had their whole Sprite commercial going for years. The little and everybody's addicted to McDonald's Sprite. That's the best Sprite out there. And if you didn't know this, Sprite, sodas in general, the Cokes, all the stuff that you get in the can and in the bottles is different from what you get from fast food and restaurants. They add different additives and fillers in those as well to make you more addicted. It's already addictive, the one that you get on the shelf, but they add different things to make you more addicted. Because how I know this, in I want to say 2023. I don't think it was last year, but it might have been last year. There was a recall for, it might have been last year actually. There was a recall for Coke products, dark drinks in general, but Coke products to be specific. And that recall was an additive that they were finding out that was causing illness in people. It was only in restaurants and fast food places. They don't sell you the same thing. It's not the same thing. They're all toxic, but they put their little sprinkle of something inside of there to make you addicted to their product. So you only go to McDonald's to get a Sprite now. Nobody else's Sprite compares. This is what I mean by this is a system that is put together to make you out of alignment. And each one of us are just getting knocked down like dominoes. Each generation raising a next generation that has no discerning thought, nor has any subconscious thought to know what the body actually wants and craves. Because you have now subconsciously trained yourself into quick fixes, diets, and fast food. And even for the people who don't consume fast food and restaurant food, you have to understand that when you are not eating what supports the body, you are not going to help your symptoms. So instead, you're just going to keep managing, depending on something else, a prescription, a supplement, etc. And then when your doctor tells you in years after, let's say you don't have enough iron, because a lack of iron and iron deficiency is a breakdown of the body. That is a different type of autoimmune disease that they're not going to label as an autoimmune disease because it's common. And if you start calling it an autoimmune disease and there's millions of people dealing with it, now it becomes a national crisis, right? So they don't want to label it at that. But that is a autoimmune issue. That is literally breaking down your system, because when you're not getting iron inside of the body and it's storing inside of your tissues, like they said, that means that the body is not getting what it needs. And so from years of you not getting enough iron and you being anemic, that's going to cause issues like high blood pressure. It's going to cause issues like you developing cancer, because that's a block. And blocks cause issues in the thyroid and the lymph nodes, blood clots. For the women who have issues with their cycle, specifically clotting and etc., think about that when you're like, my iron is low. Because all the women who are sitting there talking about how I deal with blood clots and they're so painful and all these different things, think about your iron, because that means you have a block. And a lot of that is coming from the blood. What is the kidneys doing? How are the kidneys filtering? How the liver filtering? How you start shifting into a space where you start actually healing is you giving your body what it needs with nourishment, eating what it needs, using your food as medicine and not just something to consume. Instead of stressing out your body and your system further, understand that spiritual and emotional alignment and cleansing looks like you using food as fuel so that you can have energy, because food carries energy when you're eating nutrients. It is. And that's just outside of the additives and fillers that's in the juice packs that they use, or whatever you want to call it. I don't really know what to call it. My best friend, she has a soda stream at her house. She got a soda stream because her husband was really into carbonated drinks for a little minute. They love their carbonated waters, and she knew how bad it was to go get carbonation from other places, as well as all the other syrups that they put in it. And so she started getting the good, better options of syrups. And we could taste the difference of how they do these sodas, because when you don't have the additives and fillers in it, you start to understand why you're having energy crashes. You start to understand why it's spiking your insulin and making you have this sugar high, because it's putting your body more into a space of having to fix what's going on rather than being shifted into a space of, okay, I'm converting this into energy. Because instead, when you're consuming all of that crap, you've eaten your 2,000 calorie McDonald's meal of Sprite, you're eating burgers and all of these freaking French fries and everything else. I love carbs too. Carbs are not the problem. I promise you that. Carbs are not the problem. And then you're sitting there wondering why your stomach hurts and you don't feel good. And you're like, oh, it's just that McDonald's. No, honey. It was that titanium dioxide. It was the sodium phosphate. It was all of the chemicals in the Sprite, all the things that they added. Because when you break down these fast food restaurants and you look at their ingredients, and outside of just, which I'm going to speak on that in a second. When you look at the ingredients list of these restaurants, even Chick-fil-A, the people who love Chick-fil-A, I hate to break it to them, but they're like, it's just so good. Why is a chicken sandwich have over 100 ingredients? Why would a chicken sandwich have over 100 ingredients? Why do chicken nuggets have a book-long list of ingredients? Why do French fries have a big book-long list of ingredients? When you go to places like Five Guys, for instance, because Five Guys is the freshest fast food that you could possibly get. If you have to eat anything out, Five Guys is expensive, and there's a reason why. Their potatoes are real. Their meat is real. Their patties are real. Everything on their ingredients list actually molds. I follow people and I repost their stuff who put fast food on the shelf and just leave it in their house and see how it molds. There's this one guy who did McDonald's, he did Burger King, and he did Five Guys. He has tried multiple things from each place. Just left it there, see if it molds. Five Guys is the only one that molds appropriately in a short amount of time, has an odor to it and everything else. All the things that are signs to say this is real food. Burger King's, it molded, but it didn't have a smell. And anybody that knows when food molds, especially when a burger is loaded with lettuce, you got tomato, you got cheese, you have the patty, you have the bun, it should have a smell. McDonald's, it doesn't mold, it doesn't have a smell. The French fries are still the same texture, the same look. Burger King changed the look. It definitely, it molded. It was disgusting. The package itself had molded into the burger. Five Guys, everything molded. The bun, the burger, it was black, it was nasty looking, there was fuzzies all over it. The French fries looked disgusting. The way that it should be, like food is decomposing. McDonald's, I saw one girl who had McDonald's for over a year and it didn't change a look, a smell, no nothing. Same thing with Oreos. I think she did another one for another brand of cookies. And this was years ago that I watched. I bet she still probably has it if she has it. One girl put it in her closet and said, let me see how it is if it's in a dark environment. Had 2 different experiments and it was both from McDonald's and both of them looked the same. One was in the dark, one was in the light. It didn't change. Tell me what's in that food. Tell me what's in the food. Because I can read the label and I know exactly what's in the food and how it preserves it. But for the people that still eat it, I need you to explain to me what's in that food. Because you can consider this as food. That's not food to me. That's play toys. That's a kid's toy. Like that's a toy. Because it doesn't mold. It's plastic. Like it's basically just a plastic toy. And it's insane to think about because you're managing the symptoms that you have by continuously doing the same pattern habits. And it's not because that it's your fault that you're lazy, it's the lack of knowledge because they don't teach you these things, because they don't want you to make the connections. That's the reason why they change the recipes so much. It's not because these companies know that you get bored and tired with the same flavors, because Doritos has been the same flavoring for years. Now, I know they changed, I think maybe in the early 2000s they changed it or something like that. I know that they rebranded the Cool Ranch or whatever the heck the blue one is, and the red one's been the same for quite a while, because they perfected the craft of that one, right? But they don't change them because all of a sudden they just decided that the formula needs to change so that it brings in more customers and marketing. They changed the formula because they found something else that works better than the other addicting chemicals that they had. And all they do is just maybe change the flavor up just slightly, just to make you be like, oh, they changed the flavor of this. It's not because they enjoy making new products for you in the same realm that they've already made billions and billions of dollars. It's because they know that they eventually are going to find something else that's more addicting. So subconsciously, you eat it more, you buy it more. And they keep doing the same thing. And they're going to keep doing the same thing if you keep buying them. This is what I mean by you need to be able to read your labels, and you need to stop buying these major corporations, Kellogg's, General Mills, Oreos, Chips Ahoy, Swedish Fish, all whatever, you know what I'm, Cheetos. Like, stop buying these major corporations' foods because they don't care. I stopped buying Siete brand when they converted or they got bought out by PepsiCo. And I talked about this, I think 2 streams ago or something like that. I don't remember exactly. They got bought out by PepsiCo last year, and I told y'all I was going to keep y'all updated about what I felt about the product and if I thought anything changed. The tortilla chips, from what I have seen, have not changed. But it seems like all the other flavors of chips have changed. Just like they changed all the other ones to all their chemicals and whatever else. The ones that have citric acid in it, I'm 99.9% sure they don't use the same citric acid that they were beginning it, but when they were in a small brand, a small business. Siete brand used to be owned by a family. They were a family-led company, and they got bought out by PepsiCo because obviously they offered them enough money. They got popular, right? I loved their salt and vinegar chips. That was my favorite chip. I didn't buy it often, but I bought it enough for me to be able to get a craving, maybe about once a month, okay? So one day, I think like last week or a week before, I was like, I really want some salt and vinegar chips. I'm going to get them. I haven't had them in a minute. Let me see. They don't taste the same. Thank you for the follows and the likes, guys. Not only, and thanks for the shares. They not only don't taste the same, but they don't even really have the same like texture compared to what they used to. It had me sitting there like, the flavor is lacking, something seems off. And I was like, you know why? Looking at the ingredients haven't changed. But I do notice where they can add in those differences because they're still under the same label. They have citric acid in them. They've always had citric acid in them. But the difference between what they have now and what they used to have was natural citrus, and I could taste it because I don't consume fake citric acid from black mold. And that's what y'all citric acid is made from. I had emailed the company, and this is how I know that what it used to be. I emailed the company about 2 or 3 years ago asking them what was their citric acid made from. I wanted to know. I was like, because I love your brand. It's amazing. You know, I'm plant-based and you have great products that I can consume. So I just want to know if it's the fake citric acid from black mold or if it's real citric acid from citrus products, plant-based things. And they said, yes, it comes from, they use it from cane sugar or beets, or cane or beets. That's what they said. I always put cane sugar together. They use it from either or. And I didn't even know that they could get citrus from that. So that was mind blowing to me to start researching and finding out that you can get citrus from those. I thought you could only get it from citrus fruits. And so then I'm sitting there and I'm like, why do all these companies use fake citric acid? Diving more deep into it. The Hokey Pokey company that came out in 2020 that starts with a P, that did all that stuff, right? That's still being promoted to this day. Do you know that they were the company who started making citric acid from black mold? They were the company who, it came from China, I think. They bought China's company out, and then they started making it from black mold because they realized like, oh, this is a profit margin we can get. This is a way we can cut costs. And then all the major companies got on it. And to this day, they still do it. I don't know when they switched. I forgot when it was. But either way, to this day, they still do the same processes. Jeff, are you? I feel like Jeff might be a troll, and if that's the case, I don't deal with trolls. I'll give Jeff one time to identify themselves, but if Jeff cannot identify, if they have a actual question for me, or if they're just gonna sit here and try to credential check, I promise you, not only can I prove you wrong, but I don't even need to prove you wrong. Actually, it's not in my space. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove you. Because the fact that you even just said that, it gives to me that I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. There we go. I don't have the time to give that energy today. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Kendra. I'm a plant-based naturopath. I live a lifestyle of not only living a plant-based lifestyle for almost 5 years now, but I also help others be able to make the connection of understanding what is going on inside the body, helping women balance their hormones and support them in healing, and also get your blood sugar regulated and in check. Been doing this for years now. I've been plant-based for almost 5 in October. I don't have to sit here and spit out all my credentials. Yes, I have degrees. My degrees in psychology. My education is in mental health services as well as human health and performance. And if you would have came here correctly, I would have been happy to explain all of that. But I don't need that energy here. I don't need the energy at all. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get back on check. I got a little off track. It always happens after my birthday. I'm like, ooh, I want snacks. And me and sweets, we have we don't have a love-hate relationship, but we have a imbalanced relationship. 1 minute I'm off sweets and I don't want you, and the next minute I'm on sweets and it's like white on rice for like a couple weeks. And so I was on my sweets after my birthday, and I slacked up not only with my sweets, but also with like me flushing with my fruits. And so afterwards I was like, oh, we gotta get our skin back in check. Haven't had sweets in a minute. Anything that hasn't been homemade. But I have my favorite plant-based places. And that's what I help people that work with me in my program be able to do, is to learn where you can get these foods in these plant-based spaces that also support you in the time where maybe you want to treat yourself. Maybe you want to go out and have a good time, or learning how to make these things at home, because I still bake. I cook from scratch. I still go out and eat. But the difference between what I do and what others do is knowing how I support the body in full, and then not just managing and just hoping that this works, playing a guessing game. Because healing requires you to shift, knowing how to shift, knowing what the relationship with your body feels like and looks like. Because just looking in the mirror and going, I'm bloated today, it doesn't seem right, is not going to help you. But understanding the fact that when you feel off and you feel that you don't have any energy, you have to look at it and be like, okay, yesterday I didn't eat enough of this. I did eat a whole lot of carbs, didn't use enough stabilizers. Because that's what happens, is that we eat a whole bunch of different foods and we don't understand how they're affecting the body. So we can't pinpoint what is going on and what's happening. But as somebody who's been plant-based for almost 5 years, I think 2 days ago, I ate a plant-based pizza, right? And it was the first time I had gotten that one because I looked at the ingredients and they weren't bad. I usually get the vegetarian, like not the vegetarian, but the veggie lover. And it was a meatless meat lover. It had no Beyond Meat, no nothing on there. It had a pea protein and I was like, oh, I love the pea protein. I get it from Sprouts. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this one. I haven't tried this one before. It was a barbecue pizza. And after I ate it yesterday, I was sitting there and I was like, I just feel so bloated today. I was like, what is going on? Like thinking it back to it, and I was trying to pinpoint, forgot I ate the pizza. And then I was like, I ate that pizza last night. And I was like, I haven't been bloated like this in a long time. And then I realized that I was like, that pizza must have had something in it that threw me off, because when I eat the veggie one, I don't remember ever feeling like this. And so that made me realize that I was like, okay, because I don't have a problem with gluten making me bloated and throw me off because of how well my gut is taken care of, because a lot of people have gluten issues and gluten sensitivity because of how bad their gut is. And so I don't usually have to get gluten-free crusts and etc., right? I do prefer to stay that way because gluten puts holes in your stomach and etc., and I don't like playing that cat and mouse game of having to build my gut back up after I want to eat something terrible. But if I want some pizza, I'm gonna get some pizza, right? So I wanted some pizza. I usually get the veggie one, but I tried something different. If I weren't eating correctly and knowing what I'm consuming and how I'm supposed to be consuming, I wouldn't have been able to pinpoint that it was the pizza, and I would have just thought that I was sick and bloated that day. And that's what a lot of people do. They can't blame it on one thing. So they just blame it on, oh, I'm just not feeling good today. Oh, my inflammation is just flaring up. Oh, it wasn't the food, it was this. And I'm like, how do you say it wasn't something when you can't pinpoint it because you don't even know what your body is supposed to feel like on a regular day? You cannot pinpoint something when you don't support your full system to being normally balanced. When you're not normally balanced, you can't tell me what isn't and is working because you don't even know. And that's what I help people be able to do in my program. I help you be able to pinpoint what is working, what is not working, what's been throwing you off. Because a lot of women, specifically that I work with, a lot of women sit here and they're like, oh, you know what? I eat too much and I need to be in a calorie deficit. Or they say, I don't eat enough and I know that, but I can't keep eating this way. And so I try not to eat this time and this time. And then I realize, because when they're saying that they eat too much or they don't eat this, you're not eating enough. You're eating junk, which doesn't give you now nutrients. And so then your body has turned against you because all you're doing is piling on calories and not nutrition. My most recent client, we had that issue that she was not eating enough, and she's thinking it's because she has to starve herself because she used to be skinny and now she's not, and she's hit 40. She's confused why she's not skinny like she used to be. She's always been skinny, and everybody's telling her she doesn't eat a lot, she needs to eat. So then she eats and she gains weight, and so she stops and she's like, I only eat about once a day, this and this. And so then I started to realize when she was talking to me and she was telling me her symptoms and how when we started working together that first week, she started developing headaches and all these different things. We haven't even started working on food yet. And so I was like, we haven't even switched your food. You already have headaches? And she was like, yes, I'm having headaches, all these different things. So I asked her, okay, so what did you eat today? She tells me, she outlines it. Well, they catered food this time at lunch. I didn't really eat much. I only ate French fries and then I ate this. So I looked at her and I said, so when's the last time you've had X, Y, and Z? Oh, well, I do like pickles, but I haven't eaten many pickles. I do like this. I haven't eaten many of this. Boom. Realize it's because your body's not getting the nutrients that it needs. Like, really just sat there and I was just like, makes sense. So I gave her a plan. This is what we're going to do for the next couple of days, for the next couple of weeks, until you get this into your routine. We're going to focus on you eating like a squirrel. I know that they say that teachers eat like squirrels, where they pick, and then they go on. And I was telling her this because I was like, I worked with kids for 5 years, okay? You have to eat when you can. When you have children, you understand that she had children. I was like, I worked with kids. I don't have kids myself. But I understand the process of how when you're a mother, how you get in the space of feeding everybody else but yourself. And a lot of mothers go through that. They feed themselves and they feed them kids and not themselves. Or they eat like slight little things and then they go on about their business and forget they haven't eaten. And so I was telling her, instead of you waiting until you're hungry, why not just prep it so when you see it, grab it? And she was like, okay, I'm going to try this out. I gave her the things that she should be eating. I'm like, this is going to help your gut. This is going to help you be able to not be hungry by lunchtime, or it's going to help you be able to eat the right things by lunchtime so you're not choosing French fries and fast food. Within the next couple of days, I think it was a like one day, skip a day, like I don't know how many days. I've lost my train of thought. I think we had our master class on Monday. By Wednesday night, she had messaged me and she let me know, and she said not only has she had people at her work asking her what she was doing because she looked better, she looked like she had more energy, they were noticing a difference in her within the past couple of days, but she also had said her headaches had gone away, her energy had changed, herself, she had noticed that. And not only that, but she already started to notice that she was going to the bathroom more, which was helping her slim down. She said, I'm already feeling good. I'm feeling lighter. We had another meeting that Sunday, and she was just telling me all the different things that were going on with that week of her just eating more food. She said, I chose better dinners. She said, because I wasn't starving by the time that I got home. I was making sure to get up and get moving because I had energy to get moving when I got home. I made sure everybody else was out of the way, and I still made sure I take care of myself. But you can't do that when you're in the mindset of thinking that you're disconnected from your body, so you just have to make it by to the next day because this is a part of being a woman. She realized this was not a part of being a woman. She had been working on her energetics for a while, and she said that, but she kept saying something was off. She said, my physical is not aligning with my energy, and I don't know why. And it was because the mental still wasn't there, because her thought process was, I don't have to eat, that my body is telling me I'm hungry, but eating is not the same, that eating is not required. Eating is required. I'm not saying you always need to eat, because there are times that you fast and there are times that you are supposed to be eating more. But when you don't know how to sync with your cycle, you're going to be starving yourself, thinking that you're just hungry for no reason. And so when we got into the cycle syncing phase of it all, in that portion, she started to understand when I was talking about you're in this phase of your cycle. So this is your alignment for now. This is what you should be eating. Base what you're eating off of this. Know how much you're supposed to eat based off of your cycle phase. She started to understand why she's gained weight over the years, why she's been unbalanced, how to train her daughter to be in the space of being balanced. Her daughter is 4. I can guarantee you by the time that her daughter starts menstruating and she gets into the space of where she's going through puberty, she's going to already know her cycle phases and understand. She's going to know how she aligns with the earth, that we're different than men. We all have a sun clock. That's what my amazing coach Elle, she was in here earlier. My amazing coach Elle says all the time, there's a sun clock and there's a moon clock. We all operate on a sun clock because we all wake up, we all go to sleep. That's our sun clock. Men reset according to that sun clock. There's a 24-hour clock for them. We don't have that 24-hour clock like they do when it comes to our cycle resetting. Our cycle goes through a 28 to 30-day phase. And there is a reason why. Because that's why we're aligned with the earth. That's the reason why we're aligned. We should be aligned with our cycle phases, because we don't reset every single day like a man does. So we can't operate like a man does. We can't sit here and decide that today I'm going to take care of my body, I'm going to fast, I'm going to do this, and then tomorrow I'm going to eat all this junk because my cycle is coming. That's how you get thrown off, and that's how you sit here with hormonal imbalances like women are dealing with. And a lot of women aren't realizing, because they go get these tests done of their thyroid, or they're looking at their lymph nodes, and they're not realizing it's deeper than that, because they come back and they're clear. But you're not looking at how the liver is detoxifying, how the adrenal glands are producing hormones, how the brain and the gut are connected, and how they're disconnected if you're having things like IBS or your pH is low. That all is going to affect how your hormones operate and how they function, how they store inside the body, how they're used. So instead of sitting here in an exhaustion, imagine waking up with energy. Imagine like feeling emotionally stable every single month, not dealing with PMS, because there are so many women that deal with PMS. Why is my nose so itchy? There are tons of women that deal with PMS and they're trying to figure out why they're dealing with PMS and brain fog, and you think that this is normal. It's common, but these things are not normal. It's normal for your body to be in balance, but it's common for having all these imbalances, to have the gut thrown off, to have a pancreas that's not working correctly, kidneys that aren't filtering. That's common, but these things aren't normal. The body has norms, and we've trained our subconscious to believe the common things are norm, and that's not okay. So instead of doing the temporary band-aids and the temporary changes, we have to build a foundation that helps you be able to sustain this space, to create mastery over your health. A healthy lifestyle looks like it's sustainable. And so that's why I teach with my plant-based lifestyle, with the Balanced Body program, because it's a roadmap of understanding from the inside out how you get that help, how you get to that stability. That Balanced Body program is step by step into not guessing, but actually getting the pieces to put together to have that foundation. Because people are on these rocky foundations of all of these cracks in their foundation and try to fill them up with surgeries, with prescriptions, with supplements, with diets, and it's never going to fill the cracks. It's just like water. Like you just pour water in the crack and hoping that it's going to fill it up like cement. It's not going to work. It's time for us to build a new foundation and understand that natural rhythm looks like you being synced with your cycle in alignment. You cannot take supplements forever. That's not sustainable. You can't have a surgery every other year, every other month. And the way society is going, and it's not funny, but when you look at how they are, hospitals are closing, doctors and nurses are losing. Hi, Bill, how are you doing? Doctors and nurses are losing their coverage. I mean, not losing their coverage. They're losing their jobs. Insurance is not covering. Thank you for the follow. You have to really sit back and digest why. Why is this happening? Why is it shifting? Why is insurance not wanting to cover anymore? Because they're losing money. They're losing money. And then on top of that, they're trying to make $1 trillion profit by 2030 on people being diabetic and obese. And that's going to happen because people are not changing their habits. They're seeing all these gurus tell you that, oh, you just need to get in the gym more and you just need to eat more lean proteins. And they're following that. And then they're going to be crying in 5 to 10 years because it hasn't changed anything. Nothing has shifted for them. And it's because they're in the space of believing that as long as they do a little bit of health, which is this cat and mouse game, as long as I eat this, I can eat this. As long as I eat this and do this, I can do this and eat this. That cat and mouse is not working. It has never worked. That's the reason why your mom, your grandma, great-grandma, and etc. all have diabetes and it runs in your family. It's because everybody been playing a cat and mouse game. You can't. Eventually, the disease is going to outrun you. And it does. That's the reason why people believe when they get older that all of a sudden the body is breaking down and it just happens because you're old. No, honey. You've been out trying to outrun that disease since you've been 20. But now it's caught up and now it's surpassed you because you're older. Because that's the difference. Like, it's not the fact that all of a sudden diabetes just spawned because it's in your family. It's because you've been diabetic, you've been pre-diabetic, you've been insulin resistant since 20 years old. And you've just been fighting off that insulin resistance for 20 years. And now here you are in your 60s and your body cannot take it anymore. It said, girl, I can't fight with you anymore. You win. Have the diabetes. Like literally. And it's getting earlier and earlier. It's not even looking like the 60s anymore because they're saying that teens and young adults are about to surpass adults on the category that is diabetes. It used to be adults were the leader. It's about to be young adults and teens. So can you only imagine by 2030 if they're projecting to make $1 trillion profit off of people being diabetic and overweight, what that's going to look like? It's going to be a bunch of children sick. Bunch of children on insulin, and they're going to do that for the rest of their life. And a lot of people I know talk about how they're on insulin and they don't eat pork, and I'm like, that's funny, because do you know that insulin has pork in it? You don't eat pork, but you're ingesting pork with your insulin every single day because it has pork in it. You can go look that up. Why is there pork in insulin? Like, really sit back and digest what they're doing to your body. If you don't eat pork and you understand how terrible and toxic pork is because pigs don't sweat, why are they putting a pork inside of your body. Why is this the solution to your insulin resistance? So if you are ready to get away from sitting here managing and you want to get to the root cause of your healing and you want to align in that space and shift your habits so you have a sustainable lifestyle, I have my Balanced Body program. All the things and all the tips that I help you with not all my products and services, but specifically my Balanced Body program, is what has kept me plant-based for almost 5 years. I was somebody who could not get under 190. I was over 200 pounds. I always carried my weight well according to everybody else, but I felt big. I felt uncomfortable and I didn't like it. And that was my norm, feeling big, like just feeling overwhelmed, feeling just feeling large. And I was not a very large person. And so when I started to get into the space of learning what was food, like what was going on with our food before I even went plant-based, I realized that the reason why I always felt heavy and bloated is because I wasn't eating real food. And then I started learning why they don't teach us to eat these real foods. And when I got into the space of being plant-based, the weight didn't just fall off all of a sudden like people think that it's going to happen because they're like, oh, I'm going to eat fruits and vegetables. I'm going to lose so much weight because I want to be skinny, or I don't want to be skinny, so I don't want to go plant-based. I didn't just drop a whole bunch of weight going plant-based. It didn't happen. For about the first 3 months, I wasn't really into anything but besides just focusing on cutting out meat and cutting out dairy, because that was my two main things where I was like, this is going to be impossible. I just feel it in my bones, but I'm going to try. And when I got into that space of cutting it out, I had to replace it with something. So I started to learn how to cook plant-based meals before I started just cutting out meat and dairy. And that's what I teach people to do in my Balanced Body program, because you have to replace so you don't feel restricted. And then as the time went on, by the end of the 3 months where I had cut out all the meat, I had cut out dairy, I understood what it felt like to feel lighter. And I wanted to keep going. So I was like, okay, I don't have to feel heavy all the time. I'm still around like 180 something. And I'm like, I'm not losing the weight like I want to. Now I'm going to detox and cleanse. Now I'm going to support myself in flushing with more fruits and focusing on that diet of what people think is diet culture. But for me, this is just me aligning with my cycle and understanding you should be detoxifying every single month. You should be releasing every single month. And by that time, now here I am still in a sustainable weight. I think the lowest that I hit was 160. And I fluctuate between about 160. I think the highest I've been was like a 170-ish. And this was when I wasn't getting active every single day. This was just strictly just on food. This was just strictly eating the foods that I needed. So that's what I mean by these gurus, which you should be in the gym. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't work out, but that was not my first priority. So when I tell you that these gurus who are telling you to eat the leanest meat and just get in the gym and this is how you get your goals, they're the ones who are unaliving, because they're the health gurus that are not teaching you how to heal from the inside out. They're the health gurus that are promoting to you the same diet culture that is making people sick. Because you getting in the gym is not it's not the main portion of you getting yourself right. It's a part of it because you should get up moving. You should be supporting the body. But you first need to focus on using food as your medicine, because anybody who has done a diet knows. If you go to the gym and you work out the hardest, but you're still eating crap, you're not going to see the results that you need. And so staying in the space that has made you sick and eating the same foods, but eating the leanest meats possible, is not going to help you be able to heal the problem that you have going on. It's just going to keep you sustained and maintaining and hoping you play this cat and mouse game well so that you outrun the diseases. But when you're in the space of knowing that not only do you need to get rid of these toxic foods, toxic products, and you need to start making natural medicine, because you're not going to be able to rely on a doctor in 2030. You're not going to be able to just run to the doctor unless you have monies to just blow out of your pockets. Because they're going to start charging you not that little minimum fee or whatever for you to go get a checkup, but they're going to start charging you out of pocket for you just to go get a checkup. They're going to be like, yeah, it's going to be $200 for you to go see your care provider today just for this checkup. Yeah, if you want that prescription, it's going to be $200 out of pocket every single week. You need insulin every week. Yeah, that's probably going to run you about $500. And y'all are going to be sitting here crying, talking about how you don't have that money. And then you're going to be sitting here talking about, well, I guess I'm going to have to unalive, or I'm going to have to do this. And you're going to have to make a bunch of hard decisions. When in reality, all you have to do is shift what you eat. Because the body can heal. You just have to give it what it needs. So before I hop off, because I do need to go to the grocery store, and I was on here longer than I thought I was going to be, what questions do you guys have for me? So that way I could get that a pushing because I don't want to be outside when the school zones start turning on. So I'm gonna try to fly down there, get my stuff, and then I'm gonna come back home. Because I don't want to have to fight the school zones, honestly and truly. Thank you for the follows. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Any questions for me at all? And if you don't have any questions, I hope that I have supported you in not only shifting your mindset around what health is, but also understanding what space and making connections of what space that we are in, because it's not getting any better. And they're not going to be here to help you out in the end, but instead try to figure out how to fill their pockets more. That's why I said that by 2030, they are trying to make $1 trillion profit. And they're going to make it. Because people aren't going to change. Like, there's not going to be a whole movement of people trying to eat plant-based. But for the ones that know that they're not going to be sitting here not only spending bukus of money out of pocket, but they also understand that healing looks like you starting to use food as your medicine and they don't want diseases. They're looking for a change. They're shifting and they're coming to work with me. Your nurses are coming to work with me. They're asking me questions. So that's why I muted an old person who was here earlier that asked me if I'm a doctor or if I'm a naturopath. Because I am a connector that helps people, allow people to be able to heal. That is a blessing from the Most High. No degree, no doctorate, no person can give me that. Because I asked the Most High for healing and he gave that to me. Y'all's degrees don't even matter anymore. They're literally telling you doctorates, undergrad, they don't even matter anymore. They're losing their jobs, doctors, nurses. They're coming to me. And you're worried about a degree that don't even mean nothing in society anymore? That's why I said I have no room. The Most High told me just go ahead and mute them. You ain't got to block. You ain't got to argue. Because the proof is in the pudding. For the ones that want change, they're not asking me if I'm a doctor. If I'm working with a nurse, and honestly and truly, I have never had a client ask me what my credentials are. I'm going to be 1,000% honest. And I've never had, and they're in the medical field, mind you, I have never had a nurse who has worked with me ask me if I'm a doctor or if I'm a certified naturopath. You know what we're sitting here doing? She's telling me, you know what? I never learned that in my program. The women that I work with, they're telling me, they're like, yes, I understand this and I know this and I try to explain this to my superiors, but they don't listen. So at the end of the day, it's going to be the end of the day. So when you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. If you get diseases, you can't throw a fit because you added it into your life. If you don't develop the diseases, but you get a healthy life and you're comfortable in that space because you're here for a good time and you're not here for a long time, you understand that's not suffering included in that. So you can have a good time. Like, See, then telling people to do this. Only how to give them medication. And that's exactly what they do. That's what they're trained to do. That's why I don't blame the doctors. I don't blame the nurses. I work with them because that's not what they're trained to do in their program. And you're programmed into it. It's a programming, just like your TV has programs, channels to channel in a program. They program them for 4, 6, 8 years into what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to teach you to take a medication, to teach you how to get a surgery, to teach you what you need to do to stay under Western medicine. They're not programmed in to teach you how to heal. And that's when I talk to the nurses, I'm like, the programs don't teach you that. Half the time I don't even know that they're nurses when I first start talking to them. Majority of the women they sign up, they join the program, and I start talking about the different things. And they're like, yeah, I work in the medical field. That's true. I didn't even know you worked in the medical field. Because that's the full connection that I make. For you to understand the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, so that you learn how to get that full foundation. Because gurus are teaching you how to momentary band-aid, making it by, detoxing through diet culture. That is not sustainable. You sustain by making full connections, knowing what's going on. And for instance, for all the women that were in here saying they're iron deficient, once you start eating all the foods that you need and you see you're still not getting enough iron, there's a way for you to do it without supplements. Same thing with magnesium. There are plenty of different ways besides you going to Walmart, Walgreens, Sprouts, and etc. and getting these capsules full of what they say is iron and magnesium and etc. that could probably not be. Because the majority of them are lying. So I'm not seeing any more questions. Like I said, I'm going to try to get to the grocery store before the school lets out so that way I can get in and out and I don't have to sit in school zones. I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I try to go live at least 3 times a week. If you're on my email list, you'll know when I go live because it's sporadic. I don't have a set day of when I go live. I usually try to go live like usually Sundays, and then I try to skip Mondays. But it's very sporadic. So you'll either get me. You usually don't catch me on Fridays. Now I can't say that. I try not to stream on Fridays, but it's sporadic. It happens sometimes. I try to stream 3 times a week. If you're on my email list, you'll know. As well as you also get a Wellness Wednesday email from me every single week. So tomorrow I'm sending out another one if you're not on my email list. I also have my plant-based mastery quiz for you to get an idea of what's going on with the plant-based space, for you to step into that. And plenty of other products and services as well. You can get everything with Klarna Affirmer Afterpay if you're looking into that program. And if you do book a one-on-one with me and you decide you want to get into the program, that price that you have with the one-on-one, you do get that taken off for you to pay the difference for the program. So go check those out if you want more one-on-one help, if you need a strategy that is tailored to your lifestyle, or if you're looking to eat away diabetes. I do have a cookbook. I have plenty of cookbooks. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I appreciate y'all for being here. Thank you for all the gifts, the comments, and the likes. And I will see you guys in the next one. Oh, also check out my YouTube. They're posted on my YouTube.